Is it true that a boy can be trapped in a girl's body? Is our sex merely assigned to us at birth? Can modern medicine reassign sex? To a certain extent, these shouldn't be difficult questions. And so at the heart of our transgender moment are radical claims about the human person. This is something that John Paul II picked up on half a century ago when he said the crisis of the 20th century was a crisis of faulty anthropology, faulty visions of the human person. And that's what's taking place today. A generation ago, chromosomes, hormones, internal reproductive organs, external genitalia, and secondary sex characteristics were the bread and butter of medical science. And now today, for political purposes, we have a med school professor telling a federal court that it's counter to medical science to rely on any of those aspects of the human person. And now the people who are increasingly in the spotlight of this transgender moment are children. A decade ago, Boston Children's Hospital became, as its website brags, quote, the first major program in the United States to focus on transgender children and adolescents. Today, so a decade later, more than 45 pediatric gender clinics have opened their doors. Parents are told that puberty-blocking drugs and cross-sex hormones may be the only way to prevent their child from committing suicide. The transgender worldview, it relies on a new form of the ancient philosophy of Gnosticism, in which the human person is something other than the physical body, while simultaneously embracing materialism, in which only physical bodies exist. So simultaneously, we're not the physical body, but only physical bodies exist. It insists, quote, that gender exists between our ears, in our brains and minds, and yet it says that modern medicine has to reassign our bodies to accord to our gender. It's not simply that people stigmatize people who identify as transgender. And one takeaway from this lecture should be, none of us should do that, because part of their problem is that people will stigmatize them and will belittle them and will marginalize them. So take this from the Obama Department for the Center for Medicaid and Medicare. There's no actual evidence that sex reassignment surgery provides clinically significant improvements in the quality of life of people who are asking for these treatments. So we have people who are suffering. They're simply trying to do what would be best for them. They're not ideologues, they're not activists, they're experiencing something that none of us would want to experience. Imagine how debilitating your gender dysphoria would be if you would contemplate having surgery to change sexes. That's where these people find themselves, and this isn't the knowledge that they're being given. Right? They're being told by those 45 pediatric gender clinics that reassignment might be in their best interest.
And so the challenge for all of us is, how do we prevent that from being the reality of future women? How do we prevent that from being the reality of other young people who are struggling with their gender identity? Because even in the best of cultures, navigating that development during junior high school and high school, navigating puberty is difficult for everyone. So imagine how much more difficult it is if you're experiencing gender dysphoria, if you're in an environment that has overly rigid gender role stereotypes, if you have an ideological doctor or a school counselor who's counseling you in transition.